Mic check, 1, 2. Welcome to another episode of The Grumpy Geek, where you can always be sure to catch the most original content with up-to-date news and information on all things geeky and nerdy. I'm your host, Cassius Samuels, and today I wanted to drop in with another weekly review of the latest episode of The Flash, titled Magenta, just to give a quick recap of the episode with a sidebar full of my notes and opinions so we can have a discussion on everything that transpired. So if you haven't seen the latest episode of The Flash, this is your spoiler warning for you to turn back now, go watch the episode, then come back and listen to this podcast later if you like. For everyone else that's still here, let's go ahead and jump right in, shall we? So this week's episode, which aired October 18th, introduced us to a new female villain by the name of Magenta, who I'm not too familiar with off the top of my head from the comic books, but I still thought that she was an okay freak of the week villain due to her relatability. I also thought it was a nice change of pace to get a villain on the show that the audience can sympathize with, because they've been liking in that department. And one of my biggest gripes about these DC TV shows so far since they've been on air is that they constantly frustrate me with the fact that they don't show the same level of care and attention to the villains as they do to their heroes, outside of a few obvious big names like Reverse Flash, Zoom, or Grodd. So it was nice to see a switch hit right there, and hopefully the show can show the same care to Alchemy and Savitar whenever he finally shows up. It was also great to me that the writers were able to use the climactic showdown between Magenta and Flash as a conduit that allowed the newfound speedster Jessie Quick to have her first superhero team up with the Flash, as she returned to the show for the first time since leaving Earth 1 for Earth 2 at the end of Season 2. I may have my concerns about the show hitting speedster overload this season, but so far, it's hard to deny that Barry and Jessie make a great team, so it's hard to complain about that fact right now, considering I could watch Jessie Quick stand on screen for 45 minutes by herself doing nothing the entire time and still be okay with it. But that's a discussion for another day. Harrison Wells also came back this week, and as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't have been happier with that revelation to have him back. To me, Harrison Wells is an essential part of Team Flash and their dynamic, regardless of which version of the character he's playing. And without him, the team just doesn't feel the same to me. I thought Kavanaugh did excellent portraying Wells as an exasperated father, hell-bent on preventing his daughter from entering into a superhero lifestyle. And it was fun seeing Wells chastise Barry for fucking up the timeline as well. Because, it was funny, but he took it way better. He did it way better than me, because I'd have been all in Barry's ass talking shit. I felt like Joe had some decent moments, and as he dealt with his own parental problems, dealing with Wally and all that. Thought it was pretty cool. He got some decent moments out of that. The Barry and Iris subplot was also not awkwardly bad and super cheesy like it usually is, even though the whole romantic night out interrupted by metahuman activity routine has been done to death by now. But in the end, it was just nice to finally see their relationship finally going forward in the right direction instead of backwards like it has had a tendency to do over the course of the past 2 seasons. The Wally West subplot was really the only thing from this episode this week that kind of made me roll my eyes at one point. It just seemed like to me that the writers over-embellished his teenage angst and juvenile melodrama just a tad bit, and it was kind of laughable at moments. I get the motivation behind it, and it's understandable that the speed-obsessed Wally West would be jealous that Jessie gained powers and not him, but the way he reacted to this reality by jumping out in front of the car and nearly causing a traffic accident seemed very stupid and childish. Didn't really see the point to it, because it was like a 1 in a million chance. He's like, oh, you jumped in front of a car and your powers activated? Bet, watch this. And then he jumps in front of a car. It was kind of ridiculous. But to me, Wally's best moments in this episode were when he was simply just chopping it up with Jessie and paving the way for what seems to be like an inevitable romance that's developing between the two. But with that being said, I still think that it's Wally's character who will be one of the most interesting characters with their story arc going forward, next to Caitlin and her Killer Frost arc, considering I feel like it's only a matter of time before Wally approaches Alchemy or Alchemy approaches Wally, and one way or another he gets his speed activated. Some people think it could be Wally who turns out to be Savitar later this season, but I strongly doubt that, considering Wally wasn't a bad guy in the Flashpoint timeline, and there's really no motivation for him to be a bad guy in this timeline. Even when he gets speed, he might just be a reckless teenager out of control, doing dumb shit, but I don't see him turning into like the big bad of the season or anything like that. However, I do think Savitar's appearance in this timeline will be a result of the Flashpoint timeline in one way or another, so take it for what it's worth. And lastly, I really want to know, Am I the only one who's already lost interest in the Julian Albert subplot? So far, this dude has only come across as a very one-note, one-dimensional character in my opinion, and I'm hoping the writers have something more unpredictable in mind for the character than the obvious reveal that he's Dr. Alchemy, if that's the case at some point, and he's not just a red herring. But, you know, as of right now, he's just really kind of annoying, and I can do without his scenes, despite his track record and success with Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter. In the end, I gave this episode a solid 8.3. Magenta is the first episode of Flash's third season that felt like a classic installment of the series to me. It introduced a relatable, compelling new villain in my opinion, while also delivering an enjoyable first team up between Barry and Jesse Quick. Plus, we got Harrison Wells back, which is always a good thing, and it also served as a reminder of just how crucial he is to the group dynamic. Not every subplot worked as well this week. There wasn't a whole lot of story progression in the episode. We still don't know shit about Alchemy or his motivations really, but there was some dope action scenes and the special effects were well done and on point. So to me, the final overall package proved plenty satisfying when it was all said and done. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. Did you like Magenta as a villain? What about Jesse Quick racing onto the scene and Wally West throwing temper tantrums? What about Julian? How you guys feel about him? Feel free to share all your thoughts down below and let's talk it out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you found any entertainment value in this video. And if you want to follow me on any of the social media platforms, all the links to everywhere you can find me at are down below in the description. Until next time, I want you to stay fresh to death, my geeky comrades. I'm out. I love y'all. I will see you next time. Peace.